Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. Let's get into our Today in History. April 24th, 1945, President Harry Truman learned the full details of the Manhattan Project, in which scientists are attempting to create the first atomic bomb. The information thrust upon Truman a momentous decision whether or not to use the world's first weapon of mass destruction. Okay, so we didn't really get into this a lot when we did our World War II unit, mainly because I wasn't with you guys in class, so I wasn't able to have like regular discussion like I would have. But FDR does die during his fourth term as president, and Harry Truman takes over to see out the end of World War II. And because the Manhattan Project was so top secret, Truman didn't know about it even though he was vice president. So it's not until FDR dies and he assumes the role of president that he finds out about the attempt to create the atomic weapon, and then he has to make this decision about whether or not he's going to use it as a weapon against the Japanese. Right? Obviously, we know that he does decide to go ahead with plans and drops 2 atomic bombs, one on Hiroshima and one on Nagasaki, to effectively bring an end to the war in the Pacific and end World War II as a whole. Right? But a huge decision, and still shrouded in controversy about whether or not that was the right decision to make. All right, let's get into today. All right, so yesterday you guys didn't have a new assignment at all. I did post the answer keys to lessons 7 through 10 on our Google Classroom already, so if you'd like to go in and look at them, just make sure that you don't have any questions or that there wasn't any confusion with any of that work. Please, I encourage you to go ahead and do that. And then if you see anything that's confusing to you or you have more questions about, please feel free to reach out to me, whether you come to our Google Meet or if you want to set up like a separate like extra help Google Meet, you want to just talk to me one-on-one, or you just want to email me, whatever you are comfortable with, please feel free to do that. I'm here to help you guys, obviously. Okay. So for today, we are going to continue, obviously, to build upon our civil rights unit. So we've talked about the changes that are happening legally in the United States. Right? We've talked about important people who played a role in the civil rights movement. And now we're going to talk about one of the most influential moments of the civil rights movement, and that is Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech. Right? So it takes place in August of 1963. So this is after Little Rock 9, after Brown versus the Board of Education, so we're just moving forward here in terms of time. And you, for your assignment, need to read this excerpt from the I Have a Dream speech. This is not the whole thing, it's only part of it, and then answer these 4 questions based on it. So it's, how did Martin Luther King Jr. believe his children were being judged in 1963, right? In your own words, explain what Dr. King hoped for in the future. Using outside knowledge, so that's not anything that you read here, stuff that we've talked about in the past. Right? Explain why the unfair treatment of African Americans was permitted in the South. Right? So you can draw upon things that we talked about even this unit or in our Reconstruction unit, things from the past, that's all fine, as long as it's not specifically from the I Have a Dream speech. All right, and then where did Martin Luther King Jr. give his famous speech? Be specific. Like where, okay? Right, and then I provided you with a link up here, and it will link you to this video here, and it is a video of, it's a video of his speech. It has been colorized, which I thought was pretty cool because obviously at that point in time everything would have been in black and white. So I thought this was a little different, and it was pretty good quality for the time period. Like, a lot of the other stuff that I found, like the voice didn't sync up and I didn't like it, so I think this was pretty good. It does jump around a little bit. I don't think it's the entire speech, just bits and pieces of it, but I think it's some of the more influential sections of it. So if you would like to, you are not required to do so. If you would like to watch the video, I encourage you to. I think it is probably one of the most powerful speeches in American history. Martin Luther King Jr. had this incredible ability to capture the attention of the people that he was speaking to, and it's so incredibly emotional and moving. I get chills every time I watch it. So if this is something that you are interested in, it's 7 minutes long. Give up the 7 minutes and watch it, because it's worth it, I promise. Just some things, if you do watch the video, throughout the video he does refer back to faith and God and things of that nature. He talks about religion a lot. That's because Martin Luther King Jr. was a reverend. He went by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He was a Baptist minister, so a lot of his beliefs and a lot of where he draws his ideas from come from a religious and faith viewpoint, so that's why that's intertwined in there, just to give you guys some context on that. And then also he does use the word Negro when he's referring to African Americans. That's just what would have been the appropriate term in the time period. Right now, we don't use the word Negro when we're referring to an African American, right? It's definitely not politically correct, and it's not vocabulary that we would deem as appropriate in today's society, but at that point in time, that's how African Americans were referred to, as Negroes. So he's not using it as a slur. That's why everyone in the crowd isn't shocked by it. It wouldn't have had a negative connotation to it, so don't be shocked when you hear it, all right? Just so you guys have an idea, just some context there. All right, so that should be everything. I am still in the process, I promise, of going through all of your work and making comments on it and sending it back to you. So be on the lookout for all of that. And then, of course, if you have lost any points, you can make corrections and push it back to me to earn those points back. And just if you haven't done the flip grid yet, please try and do that, because I'm still missing about half of you have not done it. So please, please, please get on that. Right? Other than that, I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Hopefully we get some nice weather. I think maybe Saturday or Sunday is supposed to be pretty beautiful, so fingers crossed for that. Right? And of course, as always, stay safe and make good choices. Bye, guys.